Welcome to Wonderland, all you Once Upon a Time fans and Taylor Swift fans. What a week. What a week for that very small intersection of the internet who also happens to
it
be
is not a
this
small
show.
intersection, bestie. It is not small.
Well, if you are in that intersection, I hope you're here with us tonight because we certainly fall in the middle of that Venn diagram at Will Through the After Party. It was a big night in the DMs when Taylor sang that song after we already had decided we were doing this show this week. And I'm so excited for Marissa to have her take over. Another wonderful pick. We're going to be talking about Once Upon a Time tonight, which is a show that we've referenced frequently and all of the time on this show, but we have never given it the time. So tonight we shall. But we have lots to talk about before then. And I know that for a lot of you, you're also fans of the show. We have a lot of replayers this week that are fans of the show that are going to be watching this back. So stick around. The conversation and breakdown of Once Upon a Time is coming, including a lot of talk about Sebastian Stan and all of the hilarity of finally adding this piece of his catalog to our lore of the show. But first, let's talk about all of the other things we've been enjoying this week, because what a week it's been. What a week it's been for all of us enjoying pop culture. I'm not going to start. I'm going to throw it to Marissa. It is your takeover week. So Marissa, other than taking over the show with one of your all-time fave picks, what have you been enjoying this week?
Thank you so much. Since our last after party, I watched Succession in full. All 4 seasons, well, like 3.5 seasons in 6 days. Season 4, episode 3 aired. Twitter exploded. I said, I have to do it. The next day I started. I finished it before season 4, episode 4 aired. So I watched all of Succession.
Truly unhinged behavior.
No, mentally ill behavior.
As soon as I saw the tweet from Marissa saying, "Can I do it?" I was like, Marissa doesn't tweet things like that unless there's 100% follow through. There's no world in which Marissa follows up to that tweet and says, "Actually, I didn't do it."
Yeah, Succession airs at 8 o'clock in Chicago. I finished episode 3 at like 7. So I had like an hour before. Just in time.
Incredible.
I've also been watching Schmigadoon. That has started in the time we've been gone. And mostly what I've been enjoying this week in particular is all of the Wicked movie leaks and news and clips. And yeah, it was a busy week for me in my Wicked era, which I never left.
I was literally about to say, did you ever leave the Wicked era? Because I just don't think you did. I think you've just always been there.
It just like I put it on a simmer once in a while, and then I just turn the heat back up when is necessary.
I will say it's been very funny watching Marissa react to the world reacting to the news. There's like a side string of commentary, and maybe we'll hear some of that over the coming weeks, and maybe we'll hear some of that later tonight as well.
Who's to say?
Who's to say? Sly, what have you been enjoying this week?
Currently getting distracted by whoever's highlighting like literally the entire doc. I've been enjoying watching things in preparation for the show. Oh my god. And maybe future episodes of the show. But the big thing I enjoyed in the past week was the rehearsal for the virtual table reading of Marvel's The Avengers, which was super fun. And we are hosting the live reading on next Sunday, the 30th at 7 Eastern, I believe. And you can get a digital ticket in the description. So come hang out. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be a blast. The cast is stacked, and yeah, that's just been really fun. Also, I put in my notes all caps happy birthday JJ episode. This episode is dedicated to our favorite.
This episode is so JJ coded already.
It truly is.
Happy birthday. And there was a big Thirsty Thursday this week for those of us that only catch 911 at its most chaotic moments. Another week, I'm very grateful to have your outlet on TikTok on Thursdays. Maybe we'll have time to chat about that at some point in the show.
I considered making my rant just a regurgitation of my discussion on Thirsty Thursday this week of why I bought that Owen Strand was literally the only character you could convincingly make that stupid. But I decided to go in another direction.
I right before the show, I saw a TikTok that I wanted to like reference, and I wanted to tell you before the show started, but I'll tell everybody now. I was watching a Graham Norton interview on TikTok, and the way that they edit them for TikTok is like you only see one person on the couch at a time.
Mhm.
And I got like a minute into the TikTok, and it cut to Rob Lowe, and I was like,
I'm there.
just on the couch. I'm like, these are facts you need to tell me in the first 10 seconds of the interview. Like, you cannot just leave him. Anyway, I'll send it to y'all after the show. I'll post it somewhere where everyone can find it. Alexis, what have you been enjoying this week?
Well, first I'll say that my grad school besties who know that I am not a huge fan of Rob Lowe have been printing out pictures of him and hiding them around my desk. So I have also been getting the Rob Lowe jump scare on the daily, which is great. This is a stressful week. We've got a lot of papers due. So if you are out there in the audience and you happen to have like a lot of knowledge on like legislation in the state of Tennessee or like life course criminology, could use your support during this trying time. But other than that, I somehow ended up on like the side of TikTok where this like tattoo shop like hired this pink fluffy dress wearing art student who is just like showing up in all of these videos with a magic wand.
I've seen this.
And they are like fantastic. So I have been enjoying Princess Art Student Goes to Edgy Tattoo Gallery TikTok.
Yes.
You keep finding the most entertaining corners of TikTok, and I stand by that because every week you come to us with what my algorithm was last week, and it is not the algorithm that I am on.
It has been that and Cake Gate this week. And then occasionally, somehow I did end up on Ice Wife TikTok, which I did not know was a place I want to be, but I am thriving.
And can we blame that on Sly?
Yes.
I am not on Ice Wife TikTok.
Anytime we get anything. Okay, it's a conversation for another time. We have a lot to talk about this show, so I'm just going to keep it moving. I have been enjoying lots. I was at the Canadian Screen Awards last week. I was interviewing all of last week, which was like the most fun ever. And I've been posting those interviews, and you can catch them on TikTok, on my TikTok, at the Canadian Academy's TikTok has a bunch too. And there's like even more to come. Like, we did so many interviews. It's unbelievable. So I'm just trying not to oversaturate y'all with all the good stuff that's coming. There's more coming down the pipeline. So we did that. That was a whole week of my life. And then I came home, and now I'm trying to catch up on all the TV I missed, because when you're not watching TV for a week, you're like 10 years behind on the internet. So I'm not caught up on The Mandalorian yet. I am caught up on Ted Lasso. I'm caught up on Abbott Elementary in the season finale, which was like so good. And I am caught up on everything Timothée Chalamet is doing. And I have more thoughts than we have time in this episode to talk about. So I'm going to have to save that for a whole other time, because like, he got hit with a camera. He's dating Kylie Jenner. He didn't go to Coachella. He's all over the place. So if you're looking for the Dune content, it's coming. There's a lot percolating up here. Big week for the Trent Crib fans out there. Oh my God, Ted Lasso this week was such a journey. But let's park that and let's just go straight into our rants section, so we can talk about Once Upon a Time, because I've got 4 pages of notes, and they're almost all about how old Jamie Dornan is. I really need to get into that with y'all. So let's just go right into the rants. Marissa, what are you ranting about this evening?
I don't like giving things away, but I'm going to talk about Wicked.
We all saw that coming, so I don't think you need to be that worried. Sly, what are you ranting about this evening?
I'm just gonna go through the tabs I have open on my phone and see how many different fandoms I currently have open, and rating them.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Alexis, what are you ranting about?
I am rating the names of hockey teams. I'm Still not sure how I got here. I know I was a participant in it. I think I
Do you want me to tell you the story?
Yeah, I don't remember the story. Tell the story.
Okay, so I sent a screenshot of like a push notification I got from the NHL app, and
Oh.
Alexis was shocked at a team name, and I go, Bestie, there are some wild team names out there, and so that then turned into a month-long series of rants Alexis will be doing, where she goes division by division, and just rates all of the team names.
What a treat. What a treat. Oh my
As
God.
I'm learning them
incredible.
for the first time. So welcome everyone on this journey.
I'm really glad that we now have like a subsection of our show dedicated to hockey fan lore. Like, I feel like that's an area of expertise that I can actually contribute to for once.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very excited to hear your take on this. I'm going to be, well, I was trying to think of a rant to do that would really appease JJ on his birthday. I'm going to be fully transparent. And then I saw this TikTok that there's the potential that they're going to stunt cast Bad Cinderella. So I have a list of who I would stunt cast in Bad Cinderella on Broadway, and we're going to walk through it.
I can't wait.
It's going to be fun. Marissa, would you like to kick us off this evening?
Why?
Because I'm not going to start, and we can go Marissa, Sly, Alexis, Liz. What do you say? Just a round.
Okay.
Sound
All
good,
right.
everybody? Let's do it. Ready, Marissa? Here we go.
I want to defend the Wicked movies. I have stood here before you and ranted against the Wicked movies previously, and I need to come to their defense because people are losing faith when they should be gaining it. Those first looks were released by John Chu of Ariana and Cynthia, and everyone said, it's too dark, you can't see anything. All movies are too dark now. And while all movies are too dark now, Wicked can be dark. Wicked should be dark. That is what Wicked looks like. They're doing it right.
All right, the first one I have open in my tabs is 911. Not a surprise at all. It's my like home fandom, 15 out of 10. Next, I have a Merlin fic that I haven't read because I haven't finished Merlin. I don't know why it's still there. 5 out of 10. Next, I have Teen Wolf. Again, a show I didn't finish, but I do read an exorbitant amount of fan fiction about. -5 out of 10. Very traumatizing. After that, I'm gonna get cut off.
First, according to this nice little screenshot that I just got, we have the Carolina Hurricanes. And I feel like that's a 3 out of 10 because I don't understand why hurricanes need to be near the ice. And it doesn't really have anything to do with like it doesn't rhyme with Carolina. I think there are probably a bunch of like Johns and Matts on this team. It feels like a very American team to me, which also means it gets a lower thing.
Okay, stunt casting Bad Cinderella. First, I thought of who really needs a job right now. James Corden. Put him in Bad Cinderella. I don't really care who he is. I would like to see him as Cinderella, though. I think that would sell the most tickets. And I think that there's a subsection of Facebook that wouldn't understand the camp of it all and would genuinely buy tickets to see James Corden in Bad Cinderella. So I think that's the most legitimate person on my list. Second is Anthony Mackie.
Okay, next we have to talk about Ariana Grande. I don't want to stand here before you and say I am Team Ariana for everything she's ever done, but I am Team Ariana as Glinda. She is an excellent casting choice. She can sing the role. She has the comedic chops. If you've heard the leaks of her doing No One Mourns the Wicked, she is owning it. This is not a joke to her. She showed up. And she showed up correct. She takes the E6 opt-up, which is famously Megan Hilty, Ali Mozzie, Kristen Chenoweth. That is an excellent
next
indication.
We have some. Shut up! It's my turn. Next we have some Cherrick, which is great. We love Cherrick. And this gets updated every time I watch a new X-Men movie, so that's fun. Next is a fic that Alexis wrote, so I won't say any identifying information, but it's there. And then there's 2 very long, very straight.
Okay, I feel like I'm gonna have to get through these. Okay, so we're gonna go fast. Columbus Blue Jackets, also like a 3. That sounds like a baseball team. I don't like it. New Jersey Devils sounds like a bunch of white guys that think that that are just white guys. So that gets like a 3. I feel like that's very generic. New York Islanders, maybe like a 4-ish. I feel like we're moving up, but like I still don't like it.
Anthony Mackie has famously said Cinderella, because she's broke, homie. She represents me. Yo, let me borrow $20. And I'd like to see that worked into the script of the show. I also have no idea if he can sing. Like, I have no idea if this man can sing, but we can find out. And it can't hurt any of what Andrew Lloyd Webber has written. Next, the Haim sisters, they can split Cinderella into 3, Cinder and Ella, and I think they'd like have a lot of fun with that. They're great actors. They would really give it some camp.
Sly, I'm not interrupting you on purpose. My stream is behind yours or yours is behind mine. I don't know. We have to talk about Ali Mazzi, Kristen Chenoweth, Megan Hilty, realm of Glindas, because these are the belters that also sing Glinda. This is Ariana's camp. These are the favorites. These are the ones that show up. We're in good hands. We haven't even seen Cynthia Erivo. We've seen over her shoulder with a ponytail in front of a clock tower. We don't even know what she's going to look like. We don't know what she's going to sound like, but it's going to be impeccable. I am already in love with this movie, and I haven't even seen it.
The very long, very straight is Marvel, I think, also courtesy of Alexis. I don't remember why you said that to me. Next is All for the Game, -100. Again, literally traumatizing. Why did I choose to read this fandom? Then there's some Supernatural, again, a -5 out of 10. Why did I choose to read this fandom? And there's some Straight Timeless, which is like a 2 out of 10.
Just realizing that I could do negative numbers. Also, I sent it to you because it has super serum science. We also have the New York Rangers. Now I'm confused. I did not know multiple New Yorks were going to enter the chat, but I feel like I like them better than the other ones. And I also like their logo because it's like badgy. So I feel like that gives them like a 6 out of 10. Then we have the Philadelphia Flyers, and I'm going to be real honest. I've spent the past 2 minutes trying to figure out how I know this name.
That Anthony Mackie can sing. I'm very grateful for this. Put him in Bad Cinderella. Next, I would like any cashier from Trader Joe's. Maybe an entire store's worth. Make them the entire cast. Next, a first year from Juilliard who's from a suburb of the Midwest, but really feels like she's always belonged in New York. We never need to learn her name, but that's the energy that I would like to see Stuntcast in this show.
Oh my God. Okay, I need to be honest with you that I was really skeptical about the Wicked movie, but every leak that I have seen in the past week has made me more and more enthusiastic about it. I think it's going to be perfect. And honestly, that scares me a little bit because like, what could they possibly mess up at this point? I don't even get me started about Jonathan Bailey's fear. Like, I can't even begin to think about that. What is he going to look like in the pants? I have faith in the Wicked movies, and so should you.
All right, next I have Batman. Okay, fine, whatever. Back into my 2017 era, I guess. 7 out of 10. Then some gay Marvel, significantly better. I'll give that I don't know, 8 out of 10, sure. Then we have Hockey RPF, the current hyperfixation. 10 out of 10. And then I have Roswell, New Mexico. Again, I haven't seen, and this is very long, but 11 out of 10, I guess.
This may be one of my favorite rants that you've ever done. Then we have the Pittsburgh Penguins. Their memorabilia is all over my parents' house. I'm going to give the name a 9 out of 10. I also like the little penguin. I'm going to give the vibes like a 3 out of 10 because if they're anything like the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are a hot mess. And then we have the Washington Capitals, which again feels like the baseball team, which is confusing. So they get a 4 out of 10.
My final 2 casts for this show are people that I think deserve to be in Bad Cinderella. So they're Ben Platt and Lea Michele. And that's really the whole case.
They are both currently on Broadway.
Exactly. I really thought we had gotten through this without Ben Platt.
Exactly. I think they deserve to be in Bad Cinderella. Like, the show deserves them and they deserve the show. So that's my list. Feel free to steal my ideas. I think that they would make you a lot of money. And Carrie Fletcher deserved better. That's the end of my rant.
That truth.
That's my rant. That's my rant. So now I'm going to reorganize my notes because my desktop switched 4 times during that segment, which was really fun to navigate. And
Somebody who is either a replayer or goes back to rewatch this episode, please tell me how many open fandoms I currently have. And for the record, that was my old phone, not my new phone. And I do have different fics open on the new phone, but they didn't. My tabs didn't transfer, so they are very separate.
wow, what a week! What a week! JJ, the birthday king, saying top 3 rant of all time, maybe biased. I'm so glad we could please you. And I'm so happy everyone that joined us tonight. Leah, we're so happy that you're back with your work schedule not being on your side. Always happy to have you in the replayers. Always happy to have you live. Happy to see so many people invested in Once Upon a Time. I know in my household, there was a lot of opinions flying around while we were watching the show. And there was a lot of arguments being made for not doing the show the way we do it and skipping around. So there's been a lot of controversy behind the scenes around skipping through episodes, but it's all going to make sense tonight because Marissa is going to answer our questions and fill us in on the plot that we've missed, which is always so much fun. So with that said, let's jump into Once Upon a Time. And Marissa, before I give the spotlight over to you, I do just need to ask everyone how I did recreating the incredibly inconsistent Elsa makeup, which okay, here's me. Ready? Boom.
Mm-hmm. Incredible.
It kind of nailed it.
Not bad. Not bad for a girl that's never had the same makeup applied twice. Marissa, why did you pick Once Upon a Time? Tell us your history with this show and lead us through the next hour.
Why did I pick Once Upon a Time? What a kettle of fish to open. I don't know, because you told me to, honestly. I included Once Upon a Time on my WandaVision list of shows I wanted to live in, like way back when. We had a nice little chat about Sebastian Stan and his eyeliner evolution at that point, which we can expand on later. And then when we did the Timeless episode, when Alexis took over, I couldn't stop talking about Once Upon a Time and comparing it to Once Upon a Time. And Liz said, well, we should do this again and you should do Once Upon a Time. And I was like, great. And that night, I knew exactly what episodes I would make you watch. And I've been waiting to do it ever since. So I love Once Upon a Time. My history on it, I'll just be honest. This show came out at a period of time in which I was mentally ill and unmedicated, so I don't have a great memory of when I started watching it. I know there was a point where it was on Netflix. I don't know if it was me rewatching it on Netflix or if I watched it when it was airing. I know I was definitely watching live by season 3. Couldn't tell you if I was watching live on seasons 1 and 2. I kind of feel like I was, kind of feel like I wasn't. I don't know though. I've at least been there since like 2013.
I think it's worth noting, like when I went back and looked at the years this show was airing live, it was also Glee.
Yeah,
it was an era for appointment television. So I would be shocked if you had distinct memories of watching this show in an era where at least my knowledge of TV at that time is so clouded by the weekly sit down for Glee.
Oh yeah. It was Glee, Smash, Once Upon a Time, Pretty Little Liars, all at the same time. Oh, 100%. It was a gateway. But yeah, I love Once Upon a Time. When I was a freshman in college, I interviewed to be an intern at a talent agency in Chicago, and they asked me what my favorite TV show was, and I confidently said Once Upon a Time, and I did not get the job. There were several follow-up questions of like, why, and are you sure, and like, have you ever seen any other TV? And at that point, no, not really. I hadn't. And it honestly was really good motivator for me to like expand my media consumption and become much more of a movies and TV girly than Les Mis 25th anniversary soundtrack girly, which is almost the only thing I consumed for a long time.
Can I ask a really genuine question?
Please.
What has anyone else been on Les Mis anniversary TikTok this week? Because I have gotten so many clips of Les Mis 25th anniversary, and I'm like, is the anniversary coming up? Like, what happened? Why is the Les Mis fandom being so loud?
I don't know.
Okay, so at least it's not okay. I just had to get that out there because I was a little bit shocked. I didn't know what I had clicked, what I had done to all of a sudden get a lot of that on my For You page. Okay, we're getting some confirmation. We're all back on okay, this is great.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Please continue.
No. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much my history. I rewatch it pretty frequently, but I have a very love-hate relationship with Once Upon a Time because I genuinely love the first season. I think the first season is genuinely good, and I would be happy to watch the first season in full. Beyond that, I only watch like 1 or 2 episodes a season of the things that I actually want to see because it goes off the rails real fast. I mean, the premise to begin with is absurd, but like pretty quickly, the rules of the universe are very convoluted, and we're jumping through portals and people's. It's a lot. We can get into it.
In my notes while watching the pilot, the premise of the show really is so much fun before it lost the plot.
Yes, and they lost the plot like 5 episodes in. But for anyone that's not familiar with Once Upon a Time, it was an ABC hour-long network drama that began in 2011, and it essentially took storybook characters, fairy tale characters, some more obviously Disney than others, and plopped them in the real world, but they didn't know they were in the real world. And it was about them realizing that they were actually fairy tale creatures, and how are they going to get back home? That's the premise. That's not what they delivered, but that's what they promised.
This show started in 2011.
Mm-hmm. Wow. 2011 to 2018. It went till
watching recently. It, I thought this show started in like 2005. So
No.
To be fair, it is an ABC show.
So so 2011 is 2005. Is what you're telling me.
One might say.
Yes. It is. Yeah. It is the most basic cable network of basic cable network it could possibly be. Yeah.
This is one of those shows that I watched not because I wanted to watch it, but because it was popular and everybody talked about it. And I remember none of it. But as you were talking about like the Netflix of it all, I'm pretty sure I watched seasons 1 and 2 on Netflix. And then a couple months later watched season 3 on Netflix. But again, I remembered none of that until we got to a very specific point, which I am still salty that you made me relive. But we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into it. Well, yeah, I know Sly had watched some of it, but I don't think Liz or Alexis had seen basically any of it previously, right?
Well, apparently I had. I don't have good memories of my time watching the show, both like that I don't have clear memories of watching it and the memories aren't positive. But I asked my mom today, like, didn't we watch this? Because I remembered the pilot, and I remembered when I saw Belle later, I remembered that I knew she was in it. I remembered that I had a crush on the actress that played Red. So there were pieces that I got. And Mom said that we watched the pilot through an episode where Snow decided to do something bad against Regina, and it broke my brother's heart, so we stopped watching. Now, do I have any clue where that is? No.
That could be truly any episode in season 1.
But apparently that is my history with this show.
Incredible.
I love that for your brother.
It's an emotional roller coaster. It truly is.
Shout out to your mom for always being on the pulse. She is the backbone of this show. I don't know if she realizes that, but the amount of lore that she contributes for us is extraordinary. Like, we need to give her like a research credit on We'll Throw the After Party.
Yeah, truly.
My history with this show is fuzzy also, because part of me thinks that I did try to watch this show, but that could be as made up as like you tell yourself, like, that would make sense for my personality, then wouldn't it? Like, I don't actually have memories of watching the show. And then I was trying to like put it together in my brain. Was I on this side of Tumblr? Because I think that I did have a lot of once content on my Tumblr, and that's why I think I watched the show, because I was very exposed to like some of the characters, some of the moments. Like, I knew nothing about Mr. Gold, like, not a thing, but I knew a lot about Sebastian Stan in this show. You know what I mean? So like, just a little all over the place. So definitely the fandom, I feel like I was exposed to, and probably on Twitter too, because that was when I was like really in like the trenches of Stan Twitter way back in the day. Like, that was my peak.
Yeah.
But I was much more into live tweeting Glee and Pretty Little Liars than I was like maybe a show like this. So it's hard to say, but definitely I feel like I've been like, you know, it's like a neighbor in the neighborhood of like communities that were really hot at the time. And like, you kind of peek in the window, or like you go over for a cup of tea, but like you don't stay, or like, you know what I mean? Same with Sherlock. I was into Sherlock for a moment, like a minute when it had like its moment, but then like never really fully entered that space. So this is periphery for me.
Yes. Well, for any other onesers out there, or people who have no idea what's going on, the episodes that we watched this week were the pilot, 214, which is titled Manhattan, and then 4-1, which is A Tale of Two Sisters. And so that's seasons 1, 2, and 4, which I'm really mean, but that's what I wanted. And then the extra credit episode was 117, which is Hat Trick, which is Sebastian Stan's intro episode.
Can you explain the logic behind these episodes of all of the plots?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I'd love that.
Can we do that after we do the Roses and Thorns?
Marissa?
Yeah. Okay. Well, do you want to know the logic behind why I chose them, or do you want to know the plot, or do you want to know both?
The logic behind why you chose these episodes specifically is what I'm at. Because we're going to get into the plot and all the different things.
Yeah.
But why these episodes?
Yeah. I'll tell you why I chose them, and then you can tell me why you hated them, and we'll do Rose and Thorns. So I chose the pilot because you have to watch the pilot or you don't understand truly anything that's going on with the show. And also because I genuinely believe it's one of the strongest episodes. Like, if I could rewatch once episode and like get a full story out of it, I would probably watch the pilot. I chose 214 Manhattan because it is also truly just one of my favorite episodes, and it is a good like pulse for how weird and twisted the interpersonal relationships get. So I think that episode to me is more about the relationships than it is the plot. Whereas
Alexis's face when you said that was so funny to me. Continue.
And then 4-1 is where I lose it. Like, that's where I'm out. Like, I was like, you can watch one of the best, one of my favorites, and one of my least favorites.
And in the grand tradition of you and Sly being on complete opposite ends of the spectrum at all times,
Sly loved the Frozen episode so much they kept watching.
I need to do my Roses and Thorns right now immediately, because my rose was that I watched all of 4A, the entire Frozen arc, just off of 4-1. Like, I don't know what it was about that episode, but it got me hooked. And like, that was like the start of what I hadn't seen prior. My thorn was that Marissa made me sit through again fucking Rumpelstiltskin's backstory, and I hated every fucking second of it.
I also forgot that was the B plot of that episode. I don't
remember the A plot. I was when I watched it. having
Listen,
to watch it back
when I
to
watch
back.
Manhattan, I fast forward through it. I watch Tallahassee and then Manhattan back to back. I fast forward through all of the gold parts of Manhattan. But I couldn't make you watch Tallahassee without the like resolution of Manhattan. So I was like, just skip Tallahassee, watch Manhattan. Is this
I'm out here trying to remember what the fuck the Tallahassee episode was. Like,
You
what
didn't
what
watch it. I don't think
emotion
you
did we
watched
get in
it.
Manhattan that we needed for Tallahassee.
We'll get into it in a second. I want to hear
Okay.
everybody else's roses and thorns. I'll go quickly. I kind of already touched on it. My roses and thorn, as always, my rose and thorn is the same because it's always the same. It's that I'm a Disney adult, which is both the positive, which is why I love the show, and like all of the fun Disney tie-ins, but it's also my thorn because at season 4, when they bring in Frozen, is where they really go off the rails and go full into Disney World. And it's like, you're just living in Disneyland now instead of like a Grimm's fairy tale. And that's where they lose me. Like they bring in Merida, and then they've got Tiana in the final season, and it becomes this
These
whole
were
thing
options?
about
These were
No, they were not options.
But we had those on the table.
No, not for me. Nuh-uh.
All right.
I will defend
Also
Manhattan.
tabling that Peter Pan was an option.
No, Leah, I'm so sorry. No.
Okay, we have to circle back on these. We have to come back to the plot.
We will.
Alexis, give us your roses and thorns.
Well, my rose was that Marissa seemed really happy and joyful.
I had a great week, guys.
And that brought me some joy. My thorn, and this is when I truly gave up on spelling Rumpelstiltskin.
Can I pull the spelling on screen for folks?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. You keep talking. I'm gonna pull this
My
out.
thorn was that this motherfucker was in the show.
Yep.
And
It's like a Nordic spelling of Rumpelstiltskin or something. That JRN.
my thorn B was that this show was very straight, which would later be contradicted by somebody else. But I felt that this show was painfully heterosexual, even when it didn't need to be. Like,
Yes.
we have all of these like rugged white men that look the same popping up all over town like tribbles, but none of them are dating each other. That felt weird to me. So yeah, I didn't like that. It was super straight.
Okay, I would like to jump in on that because I was the one that sent a very emoji-filled text that I will not read verbatim on the show. My point was not that the show itself was gay. My point was there were a lot of queer people cast to be in this show. And I thought that was a great thing for ABC to do. Good for them for hiring queer people. However, it translated into Alexis' exact point of painful heterosexual forced romance that no one bought. That's not my rose or my thorn, though. That was just a point I wanted to make while it was relevant. My rose was Jamie Dornan. My thorn is Jamie Dornan's birthday is next week. And realizing that gave me an existential crisis about all my favorite actors from the gang of British imports, which includes Jamie Dornan, Robert Pattinson, Andrew Garfield, Ben Barnes, etc. And I have 4 pages of notes from watching this show, and I would say at least half of a page is just me making notes about Jamie Dornan and how all these actors are entering their 40s and how in my brain they're all still in their 20s, but I'm in my 20s, and now it's just really hard in my head to conceptualize all of this at once. So I did not enjoy that existential crisis, Marissa, but I did enjoy whatever he was supposed to be doing, which I'm still not sure of, and I would like some answers on.
Excellent. Yeah, let's get into some answers then. I would love to attempt to explain the plot of this show to you. Let's see. I guess we'll just start with me giving like a base overview of the plot, and then I'll try and answer some of your more specific questions because high level, you're still going to have a lot of questions. So,
I feel like I must have gone into this head empty because I had a single question for my entire watch through.
To be
Liz was
fair,
very concerned, like texting me throughout with many questions.
Alexis did pose a lot of the questions that I had. Like, Alexis really covered some territory for me. Like, I should have put +1 beside some of Alexis's questions, including what are the stakes? That was my question constantly.
I truly want to know. I really feel like my experience with the show could change in a moment if I had an understanding of what the stakes
Okay,
were.
let's do this. Let's do this before Marissa, you get into the show.
Yeah.
Let's each state our biggest, like when I mean biggest, I mean our biggest reaching question about this show. Because we have a lot of pinpoints that we want to dig in on, but our overarching questions that we need answered. Alexis, is your big question, what are the stakes?
I mean, I wouldn't say that it's my biggest question, but it is definitely the most overarching question.
Okay. Slide, do you have an overarching question, umbrella question? No, you're just
It's very specific.
okay. My biggest overarching question, and I mean this because it literally occupied my brain entirely through at least 3 of the episodes I watched, is why did Regina get to stay in the show? Because the entirety of the plot made it seem like evil queen bad. And then everything I watched after that, she was everywhere. And I was like, but
Wait,
thought
I can
evil queen
answer that
bad.
for you. Queer baiting.
See, I thought the entire plot was Regina alcoholic. Like, I thought that's what we were doing. Because she's like, has to give up her dark magic and they don't want to put her in a situation where she'll be tempted to use it again. So I thought it was ABC's version of like an alcoholism storyline for 7 seasons.
Oh, no, that's Rumpelstiltskin. He like tries to get rid of his magic like 4 times and then takes it back every time. But
What were the stakes?
What were the
You just
stakes?
broke my mind. There were never any stakes. Okay, let's start there. Marissa, explain the stakes of the show to us.
This is really hard. I'm respectfully to everyone watching who has watched all of Once Upon a Time. I can't go beyond season 4 because it changes after season 4. Like the rules of the whole show changes. It becomes about heroes and villains, and you can only be one or the other. There's no gray area, and your story is predetermined and blah, blah, blah.
Is that with the whole like quest to find the writer to change the ending storyline?
So we're just gonna ignore
you guys
that
don't know what I'm
because
talking about. I'm talking about the extra
they
credits.
fully changed the rules of the show after season 4.
That sounds interesting, though. Why didn't I watch that show?
They didn't really do it well. The stakes of the show essentially are finding your happy ending. Like Regina's whole thing in casting the curse in season 1 is that her true love was taken from her by her mother, but she blames Snow White anyway. So she wants to rob Snow White of her happy ending. So she's going to separate everyone from who they love, change their memories, put them in a place somewhere horrible, which is America. True, on the nose. And so she's taking all of the happy endings.
Not just America, Maine.
Yeah.
Which I would like to add, if we're adding questions to our list, I'd like to know why Maine is the place where you banish people to in America, but we can come back to that.
No. Oh, I know.
Alexis, do you want to jump in on that?
I just have an additional question.
Yes.
Am I supposed to know what woman she was in love with that Snow White took? Is it Snow White or is it somebody else?
Regina's not gay. Regina's not gay. Regina was in love with this
Debatable
boy named Daniel who rode horses. It's a whole flashback thing. It truly doesn't matter.
But
When Snow White, okay, here, background on why Regina hates Snow White before the show even starts.
I'm on my 2nd Diet Coke. Continue.
Regina, evil queen era Regina, hates Snow White because when Snow White was 10 years old, she told Regina's mom that Regina was sneaking away to meet Daniel, who was her secret boyfriend that she was in love with. Regina's mom didn't want her to meet Daniel because Regina's mom was determined that Regina would be royalty. The path she had determined for her child was that she was going to marry royalty. She was going to marry a prince or a king or something, and she would become royalty because that's what Regina's mom had always wanted in her life. This is so much more detail than you need. Essentially, Snow White at 10 years old, a literal child, tattled, and Regina decided she was going to destroy her life forever. She's the evil queen. The evil comes from somewhere. Almost nobody's decisions or motivations on this show are justified. I'll just put that as a blanket statement.
Okay, why don't we move from that point
Yes.
to you telling us what you think the most important piece of foundational understanding is? You know what I'm trying to say. What is the piece of lore that you think we need to understand if it's not that?
Okay, easy. Well, not easy, but I know the answer. Basically, you can assume the knowledge that you have of traditional fairy tale character Disney movies-esque. So like in the Snow White story, you can understand there's an evil queen, there's Snow White. Snow White falls in love. She gets a sleeping curse. True love's kiss wakes her up. Blah, blah, blah. That all happens within the Once Upon a Time universe. After Snow White is woken up and rescued by her prince, whose name is Prince Charming, even though that is the name of Cinderella's prince in the Disney movie. It's whatever. Prince Charming and Snow White, they get married. They have their happily ever after. They banish the evil queen from the kingdom. They have a baby. While they are banishing the evil queen from the kingdom and they get pregnant, Regina decides that she's going to cast a curse to take away their happy ending. This curse is what sends everyone to Storybrooke. All of season 1 is basically watching flashbacks of Regina planning to cast this curse, trying to keep Snow and Charming apart, watching Snow and Charming fall in love, get married, get pregnant. And the way that they are going to finally be able to break this curse, solve all their problems, get the happy endings back, is a prophecy foretold that their baby, Snow and Charming's baby, is the savior, and she will break the curse. It has been written into the curse. This show, you guys. The curse was written by Rumpelstiltskin. The reason Rumpelstiltskin actually wrote this curse is so he could be reunited with his son, because in his brain, I don't know why, at the point where this was all established, the rules were such that he could only get to the same land as his son by casting this curse. That doesn't end up being true later on in the show. That's how it worked in season 1. So he writes this curse. There's like a fail-safe in it that the savior will break it after 28 years, and she'll rescue everyone and bring back the happy endings. That is Emma Swan. That is the lead character, blonde lady of the show. She is sent through a magical wardrobe in the pilot to be sent to our land ahead of the curse. So she is not taken with the curse, and she will theoretically retain her memories and be able to break the curse. The point of all of this was that Snow White was going to go in the wardrobe while she was still pregnant, so that she would raise Emma with the understanding that she was going to break the curse when she turned 28 and bring back everyone's happy endings. That doesn't actually happen because Snow goes into labor early. So baby Emma Swan is sent through the wardrobe alone. She grows up an orphan in the foster system until she's 28 years old, and her son that she has when she's 18 knocks on her door and says, "You're my mom. You're the savior. You need to come bring back all the happy endings." Because Rumpelstiltskin is a creepy, twisted man, and he finagled his way around the world. And when Regina realized that 18 years in to her curse, she wasn't satisfied anymore. And just because everyone else didn't have a happy ending. She needed something else too. She was going to fill the hole in her heart by adopting a baby. She went to Rumpelstiltskin and said, I need a baby. And he said, bet. You can have the Savior's baby. She doesn't know that it's the Savior's baby. Regina adopts Henry, who is Emma's biological son.
But is also Rumpelstiltskin's
grandson. So when you watched Manhattan, which is the second season episode you watched, you learned that Emma's ex, who she had Henry with, who's the biological father of Henry, is also Rumpelstiltskin's son, who jumped through a portal when he was 13 and actually went to Neverland first. We don't have to talk about that part. He was in Neverland for like 200 years. Then he went to our world. Finally met Emma.
Stop the presses. Stop,
you guys. Time works really weird on this show.
No,
He jumped through a portal when he was 13 and spent 200 years in Neverland, she says casually, as if I'm not going to have questions about everything in that sentence.
Is that the Peter Pan episodes that people are talking about in the comments?
Yes.
How many
Peter Pan arc. The Peter, what?
How many if he's there for 200 years, how many episodes do we get?
The Peter Pan arc is like 8 or 10 episodes, I think. It's like Balefire flashbacks it's like Balefire and Hook flashbacks while the Charming family and Emma and Regina are all trying to rescue Henry. We'll get to that. This is how season 2 ends. Basically, high level, Emma is Henry's biological mom. Regina's his adoptive mom. Emma doesn't believe Henry. He's the only one that believes in the stories for all of season 1. Then Regina spends all of season 1 trying to get Emma to leave Storybrooke. She's like, no, I don't believe you actually love my biological child. So, guys, let me get to the curse being broken in season 1. I promise we'll get to season 2.
Okay,
we're so close.
Okay.
We need to bring it down a couple levels so Marissa can get through the plot.
I promise. I'm glossing over so much.
I'm going to drink every time something is alluded to that I want more information on. Please continue.
Right. The end of season 1. Regina spent all season trying to get Emma to leave Storybrooke. Finally, she uses Sebastian Stan's magic hat to bring her poison apple from the Enchanted Forest into Storybrooke, cooks it into an apple turnover, serves it to Emma. Henry steals it out of her hand and eats it instead and is like, you can't eat that. It's poison. I'll prove it. He then, essentially goes into a coma because it's a sleeping curse. Emma freaks out. Regina freaks out. There's no way to save him because it's a sleeping curse. And finally, Emma believes in magic. She kisses his forehead and says, I love you, Henry. Breaks the curse. Guess what, guys? The answer to every curse? True love. An act of true love. That breaks the curse. Everyone finally remembers who they are, but they don't leave Storybrooke. They're all just suddenly living in Maine, but they remember their lives as fairy tale creatures. Season 2, we learn more backstory about Emma, Henry's dad, and Rumpelstiltskin, and all of that business. Basically, what you need to know about season 2 is we learn how Emma had Henry, when she had Henry, the circumstances surrounding that. She was wrongfully convicted of a crime that Neil committed because, did you guys have, August was in some of the episodes you watched, right? The guy with the briefcase and the leather jacket? No, it's fine. It doesn't matter. There are a lot of exiled children from the Enchanted Forest that ended up in America. He's one of the other ones. He's Pinocchio. But he comes and finds Neil and is like, you have to let Emma go to prison.
We only saw Pinocchio in the Sebastian Stan episode when she randomly walks into this room. This guy just turned into Pinocchio
Yeah.
with no context.
That
Was a real treat.
Yeah, that's him. Basically, Neil plans to take the fall for Emma and like isn't gonna let her go to jail. August shows up and is like, no, you have to let her go to jail. You have to let her go. She has to, this is like written into her fate. It's her destiny. He breaks her heart, essentially, but it ends up being for her own good in the long run. That doesn't matter. That's the context for the episode you all watched, which is Manhattan, which is when we learn that, surprise, surprise, Henry's dad is also Gold's son. It's a thrilling episode for me. Jaw was on the floor. That's most of the plot of season 2 is like finding out Neil's relationship to Rumpelstiltskin and to Henry. And like Regina goes on a journey to good in season 2 and she like proves herself as a mother. It's a lot of her like repenting for being the evil queen and being like,
but does Neil die?
Yeah. In season 3. Yeah, it's really rough.
You guys got to see Gold visiting the grave? That was in 4-1, right?
Yeah, it's in 4-1. Yeah, I forgot that was a reveal in 4-1.
Why does he die?
He sacrifices himself for his father. So, guys, the end of season 2, Neil's fiance comes to town. Her name is Tamara, I don't really remember. She is, but would you believe it or not, a minion of Peter Pan. You wouldn't believe it because it makes absolutely no sense, but she is. And her and this other guy named Greg are there to kidnap Henry and take him to Neverland. Because guess what? He has the heart of the truest believer. Don't ask me what that means. It just is a thing that exists. So then Captain Hook, Neil, Emma, Regina, and Rumpelstiltskin, Snow White, and Charming all get on Captain Hook's little boat and go to Neverland to rescue Henry. And the first half of season 3 is about rescuing Henry from the evil Peter Pan who needs to steal Henry's heart so that he can keep surviving. He needs the heart of the truest believer, or else he's gonna die. Yeah. Peter Pan is evil on this show, but Captain Hook is a dreamboat love of my life. It's a wild ride, guys.
The way Alexis and I both did the same thing. So that is Captain Hook besides
Captain Hook. Yeah.
Killian. Yeah. Man.
Why does he look like he could be the front man of...
That's not the important question. The important question is, in what way is he a dreamboat love of your life? I need more details about that.
He is a reformed rock star.
I put one note in the beginning of 214. I'm pretty sure it's about Killian, and it just says vengeance with the angry face. And I said he looks like a growly puppy.
Yeah, I love him. You guys know how big my Princess Diaries poster is? You know how like 24-inch Princess Diaries poster I have? I still actually own a Captain Hook poster that is larger than that.
I love that.
That is just a promo photo of him.
He looks like he was on the vision board for how they redid Aaron Tvei's look for Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. That's real. That's real. Okay. One more thing about Peter Pan, and then I promise we'll get to why Neil dies. So what I think it was JJ was getting to about Peter Pan's relationship to Gold is that Peter Pan is Rumpelstiltskin's father. He abandons his son at some point in his life to go to Neverland, where he like reverts to his child self.
of the
brother.
show. How old is Peter Pan in the show?
Like 14.
Who is... Who's the mother?
Oh. Well, it's the Black Fairy, which is revealed in season 6.
Who's the Black Fairy?
I don't really know.
Is this the fairy from the beginning with like all the cleavage?
No,
in the blue
that's
dress with the
that's
wardrobe?
the blue fairy.
Okay.
No, that's the blue fairy. That's the good fairy. The black fairy is the bad fairy who doesn't show up until season 6 that you really don't need to be concerned about.
Well,
All
I
you need
am
to know-
concerned about if she got pregnant with a 14-year-old.
No. Okay, a
Well, he's been
grown-ass
14
man.
for like a millennia.
Yeah, a grown-ass man had a child. That child grew up to be, I don't know, like 6 or 10 or something. And that grown-ass man freaked out, ended up in Neverland. And like, I think some fairy did something. And so he like reverted to a child and became his 14-year-old self. There might have been like some enchanted water that he drank. I don't really know. I don't rewatch this part of the show because it makes no sense.
Okay, wait. I would just like to make sure I'm understanding the family tree.
You're not.
Oh,
There's no way.
there's no way you can.
So
You
there's
remember when I sent you that picture of me trying to make the family tree? All of
Oh,
those people
yeah.
are related to each other.
Can we find that and pull it up? Because you did send that early in the week. Hold on.
Yeah, it's not even completely accurate.
The funny thing to me is that so Peter Pan is the father of Gold, but Gold is the crocodile to Hook.
Yes.
Wait, what?
Yes. You know, green, scaly,
So Gold
sparkly
takes
version of Rumpelstiltskin?
Hook's hand.
That's why he calls him the crocodile.
All right.
It's a whole other thing.
Cannibalism entered the chat?
No, he doesn't. No. No, it doesn't.
He keeps it in a little jar.
Sly is excitedly bringing up things that are going to derail us so much farther away from the plot. So if you're looking at this family tree that is actually wrong, but on the top left, you have Peter Pan and the Black Fairy, which goes to Rumpelstiltskin, who was married to Mila. With Mila, she had Neil, and then Neil and Emma had Henry. But Mila was also with Captain Hook after she got bored of her life with Rumpelstiltskin.
Wait.
Oh,
Say that again.
so you remember how in Manhattan, Mila was like really mean when Rumpelstiltskin came back from the army? She pieces out of there real quick. She gets bored of her life and runs away with Captain Hook. And they have pirate adventures for a hot second. Then Rumpelstiltskin becomes the Dark One. He gets magic powers. He becomes green and scaly. He shows back up to Captain Hook and is like, "You stole my wife from me. Like, square up."
Wait, sorry. I'm still a few steps behind. So the beef between Peter Pan and Captain Hook in this show is that Captain Hook slept with Peter Pan's daughter-in-law.
There is no beef with Peter Pan. There's no beef with Peter Pan. No, Captain Hook just like trolled around Neverland for like no reason. So, yeah.
Okay, continue.
So once Rumpelstiltskin has magic powers, he shows back up to Captain Hook and was like, "You stole my wife from me. I'm gonna kill you." He doesn't end up killing him. He cuts off his hand. That's how he becomes Captain Hook. But I think in the course of all of that, Mila dies. And so then Hook wants revenge on Rumpelstiltskin. So that's why you see him teaming up with Cora and trying to find his dagger so that he can kill him in season 2. The important part of all of that is Neil and Emma have Henry. Neil's mother is Mila, who was romantically entangled with Captain Hook, who ends up married with a child to Emma. That's just one of the weird steps in this family tree.
Okay. Alexis, how are you doing?
I'm going to get us to season 4. We don't have that much farther to go.
Okay. Take us there.
That's basically season 2 into 3A. They save Henry from Neverland. Everyone comes back. There's this big curse that Peter Pan enacts that I don't really remember what the stakes of it were. It was going to do something bad or something to everyone. And it ended up that the way to stop it was to just reverse the curse, like the original curse that sent them to Storybrooke. And so reversing the curse sends everyone back to Storybrooke except Henry and Emma, because Henry was not originally from Storybrooke or from the Enchanted Forest. He was born in our land, so he wouldn't be able to travel back if the curse was broken or reversed or whatever. So Emma and Henry stay in our land. They move to New York. Regina gives them fake memories, and they live a happy, glossy life of single mom and son in New York City for a year until they get a knock on their door. It's Captain Hook, and they don't know what's going on, but he's like, you have to come back to Storybrooke. But they have fake memories. They don't know what's going on. Long story short, he gives Emma a memory potion. She remembers everything. They go back to Storybrooke because guess what? The curse has been cast again.
This is now so Hermione coded. I am now so invested in this. Please continue.
Oh,
I've read so many stories that follow this exact plot. Yum, yum,
Girly
yum.
Pop, if
Continue.
you keep watching, you will fall in love with this man.
I've got to say, I really think we should have started in season 4.
I have to +1 that.
I think Sly had the right idea.
But Sly had already
Had a
seen
great
everything up
time.
until then.
Yeah, true, correct. But
Listen,
also,
if
I
all
had
of
a
the
great time.
stakes just restarted, I think I would have been fine.
They don't restart. They just rewrite the rules. Everyone still has the same history, and they just like up until season 4, basically there was an opportunity for character to be morally gray. It was like, oh, well, I used to have bad motivations, but now I'm good, and like the darkness in my heart has gone away and whatever. But at the start of season 4, it's like you are either a hero or a villain, and that cannot change, and that's who you will be forever, and your happiness is determinant on that. Only heroes get happy endings. Villains will suffer forever. Even if you turn over a new leaf and become a better person, you will still suffer forever. Which is not a thing that existed before that. So I like to ignore that. How we get to season 4, though. Now we're at 3B. The curse has been cast again. Everyone ends up back in Storybrooke. They have no memory of how they ended up back in Storybrooke, but they know who they are. Everyone knows everyone. They know they come from the Enchanted Forest, but they don't know how they came back to Storybrooke. Turns out there's a new big bad. Wow. Except they have a year missing. So they don't remember anything that's happened in the last year. So all they remember is Emma and Henry leaving to go to New York, and then suddenly they're back in Storybrooke. They have no memory of going back to the Enchanted Forest at all, even though they did for a whole year. Basically, what happens in that whole year is saying these words out loud are just ridiculous. The Wicked Witch of the West is now the big bad. And guess what? She's Regina's half-sister. The Wicked Witch of the West's whole goal is to rewrite history so that she becomes the one that casts Rumpelstiltskin's curse to begin with. She wants to erase Regina from history so that she becomes the powerful, important. Her whole thing, why she's green in Once Upon a Time, is that she's green with envy. She's just a very jealous, bitchy person. The way Neil dies is that in the Peter Pan era, it becomes clear that the way to get rid of Pan is to get rid of Rumpelstiltskin. They both disappear together. In the Enchanted Forest, after the second curse is, or after like they return, after the curse is broken in the start of 3B, it becomes clear to Neil that he needs his dad back so that he can get back to Emma and Henry and be with his family, which makes no sense because he could have stayed with them the whole time. But basically, he goes on a quest to find a way to bring his dad back. He figures it out. The thing that nobody told him, though, was that in order to bring his dad back, he would have to go. His dad is like, no, that's not cool. I just got you back. It becomes this weird, like, Jekyll and Hyde thing where, like, they absorb each other. And so now they're living in one body for, like, 4 episodes. It's really weird. And then at a certain point, Neil is like, Dad, let me go. And then he dies in Emma's arms, and it's very sad. And my poor man was done dirty.
Wait. But they're in one body. So who dies in Emma's arms?
Oh, guys, I forgot another important part. Emma has magic now. So she uses her magic to separate Rumpel and Neil in Neil's last moments, because they would survive together, but they wouldn't survive apart. So he asks Emma, separate us so my dad can be at full power and you can save everyone from the Wicked Witch of the West.
Okay,
let me go.
That was another one of my questions. When did Emma get magic?
Technically, she's always had it.
When did she
started
learn that she got
started using it? Season 2.
Okay.
But she doesn't start like training to actually understand its power until season 4.
So she separates them, and Neil like appears in his original body.
Mm-hmm. And then he dies in her arms. Yeah.
Does his head also roll in a way that gravity would not support when he dies? Because that was really
not
enjoyable.
that I remember. No, it's very much like Eponine and Marius in A Little Fall of Rain.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Art.
And he's just like, so
that was well done.
Thank you so much. I practice being Eponine all the time.
All right, can we get through some of these questions?
Yes, I think
yes.
We have a lot of ground to cover, and I would love for everyone who has watched this show to continue contributing in the comments. Can we start with a question from the audience? Because I really enjoyed the town has a mayor, so there's an understanding of municipal politics and democracy.
Yeah.
Do they vote? And how do taxes work? Do we ever understand more about the society that they're living in?
Kind of.
Sort of. There is bureaucracy in Storybrooke. There's not in the Enchanted Forest. But whenever they're in Storybrooke, even if they have their memories of the Enchanted Forest, they operate with the bureaucracy and like social understanding of America. So like there's cops, there's laws, there's guns.
So was Emma elected sheriff then?
She was appointed sheriff.
Okay.
She was
What happened
appointed.
to him?
She was appointed deputy
They're
by him.
sheriffs.
She was appointed deputy by Graham because she had decided she was going to stay in Storybrooke during season 1 because she didn't believe that Regina was doing a good enough job raising her son. And she was like, I'm going to stick around and just like figure out what's going on here, because Regina wasn't. She was being a neglectful mother. Let's be real. She was also in full evil queen mode, ready to murder people.
He says this to Jamie Dornan.
Yes.
And Jamie Dornan says, bet, be my deputy.
Yeah. Even though.
That's not how that works at all.
Well, yeah, even though that's not how that works at all. It's a very small town. The bureaucracy doesn't actually work. It's not real or
just
good.
Exists.
It just
doesn't
exists.
function. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
They operate as if it does and should, but they don't do it well.
And also like Regina's the mayor, and then freaking Mary Margaret is the mayor.
Yeah.
Because Regina like quits or whatever, and then Mary Margaret holds like town halls or whatever, but they don't actually do anything. Like
No.
They
There's
try to
no-
have bureaucracy, but nothing actually gets done.
No. It's very much like play acting as a society.
What happens to him?
He dies.
How?
Regina murders him.
Why?
What?
It's never addressed again. So Jamie Dornan, Graham, love of my life, is the huntsman to Regina's
He never
evil
hunts.
queen.
This man hunted nothing in this show.
No, he doesn't hunt. He also was theoretically raised by werewolves. But
Honestly, no, that tracks. I
No,
have no
the
questions
reason-
about that.
the
Continue.
reason that he is the huntsman and the sheriff to begin with is that Regina has his heart. And so she can control him. In Once Upon a Time, your heart is both the physical organ and your soul and like moral compass. So
and
if
can
you
exist outside of your body.
it can exist outside your body, and you can still feel and live and bleed without it. But she has his heart in a box in her office, and she can control him with his heart, like a little meat puppet. And so that's how that works. She kills him by crushing his heart, and it turns into black dust, and he has a heart attack, which is never addressed again. Nobody ever confronts Regina for him being dead. Nobody ever brings up that she's the one that kills him. It is just ignored forever.
So when
So
I
I'm gonna be
clicked
real
into the
honest.
next sequential episode that you had recommended, and he was just gone, and I was like, "Huh?" That's how it actually worked in the show.
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Emma has like one outburst at one point because they kissed. Oh, she dies because he kissed Emma, because he was sympathetic to Emma and gave her a job and was like nice and supportive of her when Regina was like, no, you sleep with me, you work for me, you're controlled by me. And yeah, Emma has one outburst later on where she's like, everyone I've ever been with is dead. It's like, that's true. But he comes back for one episode in season 2, but it's all a flashback about the beginning.
And we
of the
did see
curse.
that. We did see that. We saw
Yeah, it was part of
Yeah.
the previously on, yeah.
I completely forgot that he existed, and so when Alexis had the note about the other sheriff, I thought she was talking about David, and I'm like, he's still there. He's hanging out.
Oh, he
They're
doesn't become
co-sheriffing.
sheriff for like until like season 3 or something.
No,
Yeah.
I was
Completely
invested
forgot
in
about
this
that.
dude.
I
Like,
love him.
Me as well.
I also
Yeah.
forgot that David was coma dude for an entire season, so like, my
Yeah.
memory of the show is not great.
Yeah. Coma dude TM. All right.
So
What else?
Basically, he was on this show.
Yes.
He booked 50 Shades of Grey, which overlaps with this
See,
timeline perfectly, and
I
had to
looked-
get out to go
I
shoot
looked
that.
at his IMDb and I'm not entirely sure that's accurate because there is like a year and a half in between. But he could have booked it super
No,
early
exactly. You're, like
before
they
production.
shot 50 Shades, and then there was a gap in time, and then they released it.
Oh, then yeah, 100%.
So I think he must have booked it, shot it, and then
He has like 2 guest spots like in season 2. So
has he done shows or films that have like actual plots? Because neither of those do.
nope.
he was in Barb and Star Go to Vistil Del Mar.
Oh, that sounds like it has. A
Oh, he was
plot.
in Belfast. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. All right. What other questions are there?
Okay,
I'm on
where
a
do we
roll
go from
now.
here?
Were the yellow cabs that were featured in this good yellow cabs or bad yellow cabs?
It wasn't Chicago, it was Boston, so I guess that's fine. But it was another situation of Vancouver being cheated for every major city. You witnessed Vancouver being cheated for both Boston and New York. Might I say they looked exactly the same. And neither of them looked like the cities they're trying to be.
And both had yellow
Correct.
cabs.
Both had yellow cabs, the telltale sign that you are in a city.
Let's rapid fire through a few of Alexis's questions because
Yeah.
there's some good ones in here. Alexis, would you like to ask them or do you want me to read them?
I think you should read them.
Okay. How do rock people reproduce?
Yeah,
They
that's a
don't.
big one.
Actually, They do,
Well, they
but I
have
don't
a
really know.
The point is,
They
he's
don't-
adopted.
He's
Oh,
adopted. He is a
okay.
human man. The point is, he
I
is a
spent
human
5
man.
minutes thinking he was a reindeer. So
No, Kristoff of Arendelle is a human man. He is raised by rock trolls. They do reproduce,
he
but
was
only
the
with other
serial
rock
killer
trolls.
with Gillian Anderson. Okay, I got you. Okay, but he's
Okay.
human. Okay.
Are apples more
Okay.
or less poisonous if heated for cider? I would also add apple turnovers to that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think them being cooked or heated changes the poison properties. It's an additional poison that's like poured over it. So I think the poison could be applied to anything. It's not an inherently poisonous apple.
Okay.
It's a poisoned
Apple.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I did absolutely hate the scene where she's picking the apples off the ground and putting them in the
It's
basket.
really heavy-handed.
It's
The
very
apple
bad.
imagery in season 1 is a lot.
aggressive.
I'd like to hear the theory from the comments, so feel free to drop it. Am I supposed to know who Neil is? I feel like we've answered that. That was my question. Alexis had, how many questions am I allowed to ask?
As many as you need to, bestie. It's
Well,
a very confusing
That's a
show.
lie. We'd be here for 8 hours.
I would love to do a part 2.
Why do we banish people to Maine? This is my question.
I don't know. It's a untouched forest area. It's a town where a town didn't exist before. So to the outside world, it's just barren forest. There's like a bubble around it. It's very, the Hex in WandaVision, where like when Monica Rambeau walks up to it, she like can see into Westview, but she can't get into Westview.
Okay,
It's very
question
like
about
that, except it's a forest instead of a town. Yes.
How are they allowed to leave later? I did write, I don't understand why they're allowed to leave, and I simply will not be looking it up.
Yes. In season 2, Rumpelstiltskin is able to leave because he enchants that hideous burlap scarf he's wearing, which
Okay.
gives him some sort of magic something so that he's able to cross the town line and retain his memories. Because what ends up being revealed is when you cross the town line, you lose your memories and you revert to your storybook character instead of who you actually are.
I'm with Liz on this whole Maine situation though, because I feel like Haven has that same plot, and I am almost positive that Haven also takes place in Maine. I could be wrong, but I think it does.
Yeah. I think there is something like mysterious and a little bit magical about like the Northeast
Maine?
and like big trees and ocean sides, and it's how Sly feels about Halifax.
Well,
It's Nova Scotia.
I was going to say this.
Nova Scotia, Leo.
It's not that far from me in comparison to lots of other shows that we watch, and I can see it.
I mean, it's sort of, if you do like a mirror to the other side of the country, it's also sort of like a Forks, Washington.
Well, that's why I'm confused. I'm like, they sound the same. So why are we banishing people to one and not the other?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Seattle has that big cult problem. I feel like the Washington side makes more sense for banishment.
I don't know how Seattle has a cult problem. People don't talk to each other.
It does. It may only.
I mean,
exist in my
Yakima
head,
has
but
That could be the
cult
exact
problem.
reason why there's a cult problem.
Yelm
People
has a
don't
cult
talk to each other
problem,
and they're
But
desperate for it.
Seattle?
That's true, yeah.
I do.
Yelm, I get. Seattle. Anyways, sorry,
have
that's a
a-
bit for another day.
I have a fundamental problem with all of these fairy tales coming out of European history, folklore primarily, and then the show being so American centric. Because I feel like it would make more sense for this storybook area to operate out of Europe. Why are they in America of all the continents to manifest on?
Because
because it's the American Broadcasting Company. Because it's ABC. No, I don't know. There's a lot of interesting accent work going on too.
That's a
Some
word
people are
for it.
randomly Australian. Captain Hook has a British accent, even though Colin O'Donoghue is Irish. Jamie Dornan does a fake British accent in the pilot, but he is Irish for the rest of the show. There's all kinds of accents going on.
Belle also didn't sound French. Was Belle French? And
No,
just
she's
couldn't hear her being
Australian.
French? Okay.
Yeah.
Can we transition to talk about my favorite accent in the show, which is from Sebastian Stan? Because I have a note on this that I would like to read.
Please.
If I can find it. One moment, please. Sebastian Stan didn't change his voice at all for this role.
No.
And I wrote that numerous times.
And it was honestly a little disconcerting because everybody
Yeah.
else's voice was weird. Like, even if it was American, it was weird. And then he just came out like being full Sebastian Stan. And I was like, huh?
The exact same as he does in Gossip Girl as he did in this show.
Thank you. Yes. Agreed.
I'm so glad we were both bothered by this, Alexis.
I was really bothered by it.
And then you have this girl calling him Papa. And he's
Yes,
like, yeah, I gotta go work for the queen. Sorry.
I didn't write them down, but I had some serious questions about the endearments in Once Upon a Time. Because the endearments in like fairy tale world are very like Americanized endearments, but then we also get Papa. And I was super
Oh, yeah. The like language is deeply inconsistent.
okay.
Like,
okay. Good.
You've got Captain Hook being like, I don't know what Netflix is, but also being like, hey, babe, in the same episode. Like, the person writing the dialogue and the person writing the plot were not talking to each other.
There was also that one episode where the word adept was used approximately 1,000 times. And I was like,
Yes.
who had a partnership with the word adept? Like,
Yeah.
it's insane.
Who had a
Yeah.
drunken bet to see how many times they could fit it in a script?
I need to know who decided that Sebastian Stan could pull off Papa.
No.
Because this is not the face of someone.
He's a baby.
Do we have more photos of Sebastian Stan? I think we do.
Yeah, we do it at the bottom.
Not Papa.
No.
Is there? Sorry, I'm trying to look here.
Oh, they're these are two the same.
You navigate us through. Oh, not Papa.
That's jump scare. Oh, maybe
There's
it is
also
just
that one
those.
where he picks her up off the ground and she is like as
The
tall
child
as
is the same height. 100%. 100%.
And he holds her for way too long and then just puts her down.
puts her down.
Yeah, it's just like
down
a
to the
hug
ground.
lift.
That is the exact moment that I wrote the following notes. The following notes, right? This is the acting of a man who is bad with children. Followed by, where is this girl now? And then I went through her IMDb. I was trying to figure out all this, like, who is she? What is she doing? She's Canadian. And then I said, I want to reunite Sebastian and her in an interview. Wait. Oh, yes, I understand what I meant now. I want to reunite Sebastian Stan and her in an interview because her, and I wrote daddy, but I meant her papa became the Winter Soldier. I would literally never shut up about this fact. I would get a monitor in my room of the gif of Sebastian Stan kissing me on the head in that hideous wig and force every guest in my home to witness it.
We had very different notes about that episode, but you were so valid for that.
I just want to know her reaction to that. And like, she looks like she was probably 13 or 14 shooting that episode. Like, she doesn't look like a child.
No, and then Henry's like, yeah, she's in my class. I'm like, that's a tall 10-year-old. Most of my notes about this episode are like, that's the Winter Soldier. That's the moment Kevin Feige decided to greenlight the Winter Soldier.
I will say,
There's
however,
a second where he turns and he like is suddenly leaning over her holding a gun. And I'm like, well, 6 months later, look
And
where he went.
There is a moment where he says, have you read Civil War? And I lost my shit when he said that and was like, what a deep cut to my favorite Marvel movie.
No. You lost the debate. Let it go.
T.
let it go.
Call back.
Let it go. I can put my hair down. Is that what she does in the song? She like lets her braid.
She does. Yes.
All right, there we go.
She knows the blocking. She knows the blocking.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh my god. Okay, what else about Sebastian Stan do we want to cover in this?
Yeah.
I do think, and it was one of my favorite lines, but the delivery of "I'm a bit of an amateur cartographer," 10 out of 10.
I'm a bit of an amateur cartographer. It's like half Winter Soldier, half Edward Cullen. Like,
Yeah, there was a
let
line
me take
later
you to my mansion in the woods.
where somebody is like, "Who are you?" And he doesn't respond with "I am an amateur cartographer," and I thought that was a big miss.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. I'm really glad that we were all able to contribute to the Once Upon a Time check that he will receive in the mail because we rewatched these episodes.
I also
Yeah.
have to note that's a gay little soldier, and I have no clue who I was talking about.
I don't either.
I'm looking at our list here. Sly has more questions, and I think that they're going to evolve into more conversations. So, Sly, why don't we revisit the remaining questions on the list here that you have?
All right, I was definitely convinced for some reason that I thought Killian and Regina were together at some point. Is that
No.
correct, or did I completely make that up?
You completely made that up.
Cool, great, love to see
yeah.
it. Because when I
Regina's-
first got to him and Emma being together, I was like, "Ooh, jump scare!" Like,
No. Yeah. Him and Emma are flirtationship like from the minute they meet. But
and in case you're wondering if Captain Swan Queen fanfic exists, it does.
I'm literally
Oh.
on
Like one
AO3
page,
right now to
but
see if
it
this
the
is-
doesn't-
Captain Swan fic is not good. I've been having a hard few
Captain
days.
Swan Queen.
That's not what Liz was talking about, though.
Wow, I did not realize how much fan fiction existed for this show.
You guys, this show was huge, and it still is.
2011 Tumblr. Like,
It's like I
that's
posted a
prime
TikTok
fanfiction
earlier today.
material.
Most of the tags have billions of views. This show is a big deal. I need you to respect. What other questions did you have, Sly? Do you have any more questions?
The other thing that I had a lot of questions on was the gun in 4-1, and I'm not expecting answers. I'm just gonna read off what I wrote. I wrote, "I'm
answers.
sorry, gun safety where? Question mark,
Mhm.
question mark, question mark." And then a more elegant touch, which was a quote. Love that for her. Don't know what that was about. And then my third bullet point was, "I'm sorry, when did she get that gun back? WTF?" Because it was in her hand, it got knocked out by the giant, it went off, and then they ran away, and then later she had the gun again. And I was just very confused by the gun semantics in 4-1.
Yeah, it makes no sense. A lot of it makes no
Love
sense.
that for us.
The fact that they call each other their Storybrooke names while they're in Storybrooke, even though they have their memories of their lives in the Enchanted Forest, makes no sense. The fact that they use guns when Rumpelstiltskin went to so many lengths to get magic in that town makes no sense. It all makes no sense.
Speaking of things not making sense, can we revisit whatever that comment was about Mulan and Merida and the whole end of the show?
Yeah, Mulan is in season 3, I think. Shows up in
Okay.
season 3.
How did they wrap this sucker up? Did the show get canceled or did they get to end the show?
They ended the show twice. The show ended at season 6, except that it didn't. So there were 6 seasons and a 7th season. After 6 seasons, almost all of the cast left. Snow, Charming, Emma. I think those are like the main 3 that left after season 6. They did like a hard restart on season 7. They did like a 10, 15-year jump forward in the future. So Henry is now an adult. There has been a new curse. They're back in America, but they're now in Seattle. Except it's not Seattle. It's called Hyperion Heights. It's a whole other world, a whole other curse. There's a Captain Hook, but it's a different Captain Hook. He's from a different world, but he looks exactly the same. But he has a different life and a different family. Rumpelstiltskin is still there, but he doesn't remember who he is. Henry has a kid now. Henry's the one under the curse. He's like the Emma now. And his kid needs him to remember. It's about like Cinderella and her evil stepsisters. Drizella is the one that casts the curse. It turns out it's don't. At season 6, it ends, and I gotta be real, I don't remember how. But basically, there's like a happy ending, and I think it ends up that there's like some sort of portal or door or something where now you can travel between realms super easily, so you don't need like a magic portal and a year-long adventure to cast a curse to get between Storybrooke and the Enchanted Forest. And Emma and Hook get married. Everyone is happy. Henry goes off to explore the Enchanted Forest. And I don't know. That's true. It's unrequited. Mulan is in love with Aurora. But Aurora is married to Philip, like normal. Yeah. Mulan is in love with Aurora. It's unrequited. Little Red Riding Hood, though, is in love with Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. And they do get together in season 5.
Wow. What a journey.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here, Marissa? How would you like to wrap this conversation? Shall we talk about the wigs?
Sure, we can talk about the wigs. We can talk about the aesthetic.
Let's talk about the aesthetics of this show.
Yeah, we get some interesting looks. Some what if Disney characters were sexy? A lot of like cleavage holes in the Enchanted Forest. A lot of high necks, but also just like a square right here. Real interesting looks. Liz had a lot of notes about the costumes. I did realize, I think, that this might be my wig origin story. Like this, I think this show was sort of the first time I started to like really notice hair design and like how they were manipulating hair, because there are such drastic differences between like Storybrooke and the Enchanted Forest. And I got really curious about how they were doing that.
What an origin story. And I don't blame, especially Sebastian Stan, because you go from this.
Oh my God.
To that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of angles in this look specifically that I thought were interesting. And then you have Hook, and he's got like many different hairs. My biggest problem with the aesthetics of this show is all of the costumes looked way too dry cleaned for me.
Yes.
And they were pristine. Like even in the photo you have of Hook, like that collar is too sharp. Like they needed to rough everybody up a little bit. They're supposed to be in the Enchanted Forest, but there was not a speck of dirt to be found on anybody at any time. And it drove me crazy. That was my biggest.
It's like living in Disney World. You never see the trash.
Correct. Drove me mad. Like the Mad Hatter mad. I was not here for it. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Even in Storybrooke, everyone has clothes that are just like a little too tight, a little
correct,
too tailored. It's like, can you actually move in that? Are you sure?
I did really like how in season 1, Snow White was like the vision board of Disney bounding. like the color blocking to Snow White's like Disney colors. I thought that was kind of clever.
Yeah.
Alexis, you had an interesting note about the red leather jacket.
Just that it stuck out in my memory because I think it had a hold on society
Yes.
at that time. And I have now seen like 6 of them at the Goodwill. But I think it had a hold on the world. My issue with the costumes, which I guess like as a person who has like literally 3 of this exact same jacket and steals every gray hoodie that comes into this house, like should not judge. But it seems odd to me that like you would want to walk around in head to toe leather with like a giant belt all the time. Like, or that you would want to run the streets of New York in heeled boots in a skirt. Like, it didn't, yeah.
No, you're right. It does, guys, everything can come back to the point. It doesn't make sense. And we take that and we put it in our hearts.
The season 1 gray suit corporate girl is evil. I was like, oh my God, like that was such a 2010s trope that like if the girl boss era did one good thing for society, it was redefining the image of the corporate girly in media, because now you cannot show a woman in the workplace in a gray suit like that. All of Twitter will riot and be like, nobody dresses like that, actually, please fix. So that was a fun little throwback to see the villain in a gray matching pantsuit situation.
Yeah, the like corporate wear that Regina has in season 1 in particular is it's really interesting. It's very much, I am the mayor and this is how mayors must dress.
Absolutely. Shall we do some standout quotes and then maybe we'll close with some rapid fire slays? What do we say?
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
I didn't have that many quotes. One of mine was, have you read Civil War? Which absolutely took me out when Sebastian Stan said it. So I'll leave it there and I'll toss it to you, Marissa, for one of your standout quotes.
Oh, I was quoting this whole show, but the thing that is really dear to me for some reason is in the pilot when Emma says bail bonds person. He's like, oh, so you're a bail bondsman? She goes, bail bonds person. It's just the intonation of it has been in my head all of these years and it lives there. Do we want to go round robin or should I keep going?
I only have one, so
Give us your one.
The only one that really jumped out to me was, well, she's awfully vanilla. Can you blame me?
Which was also my favorite quote, and then I saw that you already had it pulled.
I don't even remember where that was, you guys.
Oh, it's so good.
I also don't remember it, so fill us in. What is that said?
Oh, good.
It's about the woman that
most of these episodes while waiting for a sleeping pill to kick in.
I thought it was about the woman that plays Carly Diggle in Arrow. Whatever her name is. I
don't know what that means.
Her. And she like says it to her mom, I think. Hang on.
Is it when Emma's checking into the place she's trying to stay at, and there's like the bickering between the person that owns the inn and then the girl that's there? Okay, we'll come back.
Granny and Little Red Riding Hood.
Alexis, give us one of your quotes.
Oh, hang on. I scrolled down to like see where the thing was. Hang on. Pause. Okay. One of my quotes was, truthfully, the glass coffin gave me pause. Which I respect.
It's really good.
It was such a good setup and then just no follow through.
Yeah.
My only other quote that I had was frozen stuck in time in Maine, or frozen in time stuck in Maine. I was like, yeah, that checks out. That's people probably still say that about this side of the continent. Yeah. frozen in time, stuck in May. Like, yeah. Marissa?
I think I talked about a lot of these already, but one that stood out for me that I guess I hadn't noticed before, I hadn't like thought about, is a hook line from the season 4 opener. He says, "A pistol, sword, hook, my cunning wit. I don't think we have what it takes to take on Marshmallow the Snow Giant." And my final quote has a visual aid. I'm alive.
I do want to add, this is not a quote from the show, but it is a quote from my notes, also from that episode. I did write, divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded out loud when his head gets chopped off.
Yeah.
Alexis, do you have any other quotes you want to toss in here?
I had the amateur cartographer line that we already talked about. And then there was a line, and I don't think I wrote it down right, but where Hook like looks at like a child's drawing and he's like, or to a pirate, a map. And I was like, there is so much to unpack there, baby. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was what's his face.
No, it's Hook.
Oh.
They find it in a secret book in the library.
What's the name of the dude that breaks into the library drunk?
Will Scarlet.
That one.
Yeah.
okay, no, I found it in my notes. I was right. Okay, so it's in the episode where she wants to where the guy Regina is sleeping with, his wife comes back.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she is
When,
telling
Robin Hood's wife Marion comes back.
Yes, who also played Carly Diggle on Arrow. But
Okay.
Yeah, I think Regina says it to the magic mirror Zordon from Power Rangers situation. And it's like,
Gotcha.
I want her gone. Like, she's awfully vanilla. Can you blame me?
Gotcha.
Love.
Gotcha.
Okay, we all took so many notes. Do we want to go through our notes and just say some more of our favorite notes we took while watching? Sly already gave us a great one.
Yeah, let's see.
I'll give you just a few of mine as I'm going through. I wrote, what does Rumpelstiltskin X Daddy Issues AO3 tag look like?
Girly, that's the whole show.
Literally traumatizing.
That's the whole show. A lot
All
of
right,
my
I'll follow
notes
that
were
up
me
with-
being like, I'm so mean. You wouldn't understand this if you haven't seen like 4 other episodes.
My general takeaways, my overall thoughts in my notes are this week's episode of Spirits being all about Rumpelstiltskin feels like a hate crime to me personally. And then take a shot for every time in my notes I talk about how much I hate him. I went through and counted 9 separate times across the 4 episodes. I mentioned how much I hate the slimy bastard, including a, what did I say? Oh, fuck you for making me watch a whole episode about the slimy bastard, which I was going to change later, but Marissa said I was entertaining, so I kept it in my notes.
To which I later apologized because I forgot that was the B plot. In relation to Sebastian Stan's episode, I said his curse is to remember a poor baby girl. Because Jefferson is, of course, baby girl.
He really
Alexis,
is.
do you have any you wanna throw out there?
I wrote a formal apology to Marissa because in our Timeless episode, Marissa said that Timeless wasn't camp because it had a better budget than Once Upon a Time, and I thought she was lying, and she is clearly not lying. So formal apology. I would also like to say I used quite a few GIFs in my notes this week, and I feel like that was not for the betterment of anyone but myself, but I had an enjoyable time.
No, it was commented upon before you joined the pre-show. I was a big fan.
And I wrote about 2 paragraphs about my relationship with the phrase hat trick that I feel were really important. But I think that's about it for my notes.
I also wrote pause up for Scott Michael Foster, who plays Kristoff, who is a cast member on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
I wrote my exact note for him. I must find it for you because it is severe. I said, hold on, I do want to do this justice. What episode? It was 4.1. Hold on, sorry. I said, this Kristoff casting is a crime. Put this man in the Book of Mormon.
I mean, Jonathan Groff was right there. Like, we could have gotten him in.
I would like to show you.
My second to last note was, this Kristoff is great.
He is great. He fits with the rest of them, but they are not giving Frozen. They're giving CW.
So there was a point in time in which I paused my screen, I don't know, probably to get water or like get up or something, and I came back, and then I was severely fixated on this sign for a very, very, very long time. And this is in the Manhattan episode, and the sign says, "Please do not chain your bike to the security gate. Thank you." And I had so many issues with this sign because it looks like the prop department spent way too long on it. Nobody in New York would write a sign where the letters are that thick. Do you know how much Sharpie you would have to go through and how long it would take you to write this sign the way that they did? And to put "thank you" on it?
It's very
Please
obviously,
and thank you.
It's a Canadian crew, Liz.
Trying to make New York happen. Canadian crew. I'm not blaming a Canadian on this. Well, actually, you kind of can. This does read Canadian, doesn't it? But
it's just like very obviously extra large, so it can cover a sign that is clearly already on that like railing.
100%.
It's gigantic. I think those are most of my notes. It was a lot of me being on Hook's side, even though he was a very bad man at this point in the show.
I did have a question in my notes for Marissa because I saw Marissa's notes halfway through writing my first notes, and I would like to know who is actually married.
Josh Dallas and Jennifer Goodwin. Snow White and Prince Charming are married and have 2 little babies.
Fun. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Good for them.
I had some notes that are just talking about the good things of the show that I would like to share, just so Marissa feels better about picking it.
Okay. I feel great about picking it. This was amazing.
I'm glad. One of my notes was for Sebastian Stan. I said he's so good at playing absolutely unhinged characters. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I did have a note about a really well-placed tear at some point. I'm pretty sure that was from Regina. The transitions in the show, very good. Very fun transitions. I enjoyed those thoroughly. And the one scene in 4-1 where it's Emma talking to the wall to Regina on the other side of it, and that whole transition, that whole scene was very well done.
Yeah. I on that same line about Sebastian Stan, I just remembered I have a note that is almost exactly that. It's he. Crazy man with a gun is his specialty. It's what he excels at.
I also had a note that I love anytime he's acting across from a kid.
Yeah.
I had in the Sebastian Stan episode when he is having that moment connecting about like losing your child kind of thing. I said, wow, Sebastian Stan was actually critical to her character development. That's wild. And then as I'm writing that, he gets smacked and taken out by Emma. And I do a keyboard smash and go, I take that back, literally smack that man with a bat. 1 second later, I'm screaming, that's so funny. And then
I had a follow-up to that scene where it was when he does the run and tackle and takes them both down or whatever.
Yeah.
I go, that sure was a stunt.
There were a lot of stunts in that episode.
At some point in that episode, I wrote about Sebastian Stan, why is he walking like he has never walked before?
Have you seen that like behind the scenes clip of him and Anthony Mackie jumping out of the plane onto the mat for Falcon and the Winter
Have I
Soldier?
seen it?
That is like the exact jump he does into the hat when they're going to Wonderland. It's like full like squirrel jump.
I
I was
also
like,
wanted
I've
to
seen that
know
before.
if he stole the cravat from Chuck Bass. I had some serious questions about that.
To me, it's all the same universe.
And that he
I think
can
it probably
tie the
is.
cravat, but he can't tie a gag for
Correct.
anything. And I was confused about that as well.
The note that I think we can wrap on is the outstanding moment in my house where we said at the same time, this is just Game of Thrones. And then I added, for Disney adults.
Yeah.
So I am so pleased that we were introduced to this show. I think that we will end up watching more of it because it was a fun treat to jump into, Marissa. A round of tacos in the chat from Marissa bringing the oncers to the show. Marissa, what note would you like to end on?
I guess I would like to say that I love this show and I know it's bad and I love it because it's bad and I'm okay with that. And I will continue to be watching it while noting how absolutely absurd it is. But I appreciate you all going on this journey with me. And
I love bad things.
It's been a treat. We love
I'm like,
bad media on this show, Marissa.
I think it
One of
was
our-
a
Again,
good
I
pull for the
watched-
show.
all of 4A. Like, I was invested. I had a great time.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like it gets you even when you know you're like this makes no sense and I don't really understand why I care, but I really need to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It really felt like diving into 2010s culture again. Like it was it was a treat. If you could say that, if you want to jump back into 2010s culture, because it does. I get shocked from time to time how far removed we are from 2010s culture, right? Because that was like, we're in the stage of life where it feels like yesterday, but there's a whole generation that doesn't know what those years were like. And this is a show that really captures a lot of that. I wouldn't say well, but it does capture it in its own way. So what is coming up next for the show? I know we've got a lot on deck. Would we like to tease some things coming up for what we're covering on the show?
Do you even know what's coming up?
I've got the backup.
Last time I was not on the show, y'all had no idea what was coming next, and we were just riffing forever.
We knew, we just didn't want to say something and then be wrong.
But let's talk about it. So next week, The National is dropping their new album. Maybe there will be a live, maybe I'll be an emotional wreck, but we'll post all about it if we are doing an album listening party. We'll post it on all of our platforms. And that'll be Thursday night going into Friday. After that, we have April 29th. So next Saturday night, Marissa, what is our show going to be about?
I'm so sad. I'm not even going to be here for it.
Why you get to introduce it.
But ahead of the Queen Charlotte show on Netflix, everyone but me is going to be talking about Bridgerton.
What a treat. What a treat. So we have a big Bridgerton special coming next Saturday. And then it is my turn for a takeover. And it seems like it might just be Alexis and Liz on that week.
I think I'll be there.
Okay, so Alexis and Liz, little throwback party. I am finally going to use our platform to promote Six of Crows spinoff and Shadow and Bone season 3 because we'll be doing a Shadow and Bone takeover special, and we'll post the watch list on all of our show accounts. So if you want to catch up, you can. And then we're going to be doing some Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which is super exciting. That movie is coming down the pipeline, so make sure you get your tickets, and we'll be recapping all of it. Early reviews are saying it's phenomenal. We will be the judges of that with all of you. And we can leave it there. That's the next few weeks. We have a little bit of a rotating cast of characters over the next few weeks. Everyone's got busy schedules. So next week it will be me and Alexis and Sly. Is that correct? Marissa's out next week.
Yes.
And then Sly is out, and then Sly is out, and then who knows what's going on. So nice to have all 4 of us together tonight. So good to be back with all of you. Where can people find you on the internet this week? Marissa, you can start.
Yeah, I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Miss Bobessa. I will probably be yelling more about the Wicked movies because it's all I can think about because I'm so excited. And I'm going to see Into the Woods on tour with Stephanie J. Block on Saturday. That's why I won't be here next week. The last time I saw Into the Woods, I was accused of murder on this show. So I can't wait to find out what'll happen next week.
I'll start thinking now. Sly, where can people find you on the internet?
Again, if you want to come hang out for a live reading of the Avengers, that'll be next Sunday, the 30th at 7 Eastern, and you can get a link to the virtual ticket thing in the description.
And Alexis, where can people find you on the internet?
I am at Just Alexis Blake everywhere on the internet, and I will say that I realized about halfway through the show how I knew the Philadelphia Flyers, and I don't remember what rating I gave them. It should stay the same, but in that realization, I also realized that this rant game that I agreed to is like a fun Russian roulette situation, because there are team names that I do know, and I don't know where they're coming because I don't know enough about hockey, and that is pleasantly terrifying, right? So,
I know exactly where they're coming.
So look forward to me catastrophizing about that on the internet over the next week or more. Ta-da!
Do y'all understand that this is timed out perfectly with the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yeah, because I've been having an aneurysm over
People other than
round
me
1
have.
games.
We're gonna start. Listen, Marissa's out next week. We're gonna do a hockey corner on just our takes on hockey culture. How does that sound?
I have some
Deeply
outfit
disrespectful
takes,
to
so
my
I'm
Michigan
good with
roots.
Oh my god, you guys are so funny. Okay, I'm producer Liz everywhere on the internet. You can catch up on my interviews from the Canadian Screen Awards out on TikTok, on my TikTok, on the Canadian Academy. It's all linked in my TikTok. A lot coming over the next week about film festival season, about Timothy Chalamet, about all the shows that are coming and being dropped over the next few weeks, because the list is long and I'm following press for all of them. So you can catch up on everything at Producer Liz. And with that, that's our show. We've done it. Once upon a time. And now happily ever after, or whatever the fuck ended up happening on that show. Is that right? Did I do that right? We're happily.
I think that was the idea, but then there was this whole speech about like how happily ever afters are just another beginning.
Okay, so that, and we'll see you next week on After Party.